We have a good show today, I think. We are going to, first we'll do a little COVID update, and then we're going to go back to chew school, okay? Something we did several weeks ago, talking about chews in our animals and chew safety, most importantly, because I think it's a very important topic. So we're gonna get into that. Not a long topic today, but an important topic, and then we'll do some questions. And certainly, if you want to open up questions a little bit today, we'll talk about chews and some other things that are on your mind. That'd be great. All right. Let's talk COVID. So it's been 2 weeks actually. I was we had the holiday last week, so we didn't have a show. Thanks for joining us in our we're going to be doing this on Thursdays now, Thursdays at 4 for the summer. I think you guys would probably much rather be doing either a virtual or social distancing happy hours on Friday afternoon than listen to me. So we thought maybe this would, thanks Kirsten, happy to be back for sure. I actually missed it for the week. I love doing this. I love connecting with you guys, and so I'm happy to be back. I'm excited for this week. So COVID, right? As we enter into our phasing back across the country, naturally we're seeing a rise. I think it's important for all of us to note where we're getting these hot spots and looking at what they're doing as far as precautions goes from their state governments and things. I think, as you look at states like Connecticut that, obviously we're forced to be, these stay-at-homes very early because the amount of cases that we had in this East Coast and proximal in New York City. They're opening things back slowly, and I know probably not as quickly as many people hope. And I feel for any business owners that are affected by this. I obviously have my own business, my veterinary business, and so that's not lost on me. But I think as far as people's lives go and everything. If you look at the diminishing cases that we had, what they registered last week in Connecticut, and the fact that people are continuing to wear masks and continuing to social distance, and then you see hotspots that are cropping up, like in Florida and like in South Carolina, where the cases are skyrocketing, and you have less restrictions in those areas. And I think that goes to show you what good hygiene, masks, social distancing, things like that. I think it just goes to show you how important that stuff is. So it's really, really important that we continue to take all the precautions we can as we kind of, what you would say, I guess, crawl back to a normalcy. As they're developing vaccines and as we're waiting for those things to come, we have to continue to move forward. And there is, obviously some herd immunity to this because people do have to get out there, and as we get back into the workforce and everything else. But it is really important for everyone just to work together. And if not for yourself, for other people. Hey, Candace, I'm glad you're with us. Hi, Bronson. So again, very important that if it's not for you, it's for a family member or a loved one or just people that you work with or people that you're going to associate with. Just think about all the people that you come in contact with potentially in a day or a week. And it's for all of those people. And if we all work that way, if we're all good neighbors, so to speak, we're really going to curb the amount of cases that happen. So I think that's really important. And that brings me to, each week, as we've done in the past, each week we do an Earth Animal of the Week. I've been talking to a lot of my veterinary colleagues, and, they've been on the front line since this has started, right? They've been out there, they've been seeing patients, albeit, we've had to do curbside and everything since this started, and we've slowly kind of gotten back a lot of, initially there was reduced hours and there was, a lot of restrictions, and most people are getting back to normal hours now. We're still doing curbside, but we've been out there, we've been, having, discussions. I've talked to so many people over the last few months during this and just had interactions with so many people. And I think that I thought what I would talk about for my Earth Animal of the Week and my Earth Animals of the Week this week would be the people that I'm coming across that are choosing patience and choosing kindness. And I think that as important as all the precautions that we're taking with masks and social distancing is our outlook and positivity. And I really I see so many people that are holding on to this and looking at this as a reset, maybe a different way to look at the world and to start to exude positivity and say, okay, we're in this together. We understand that life is different for right now and maybe for a while, and we understand that part of our daily routine now is waiting for things, right? And we've become, to a degree, an immediate gratification society, right? And I have to work on my own patience all the time, and I think because we have everything at our fingertips, I think something like this that slows us down, okay, that we have to wait to get into a store, we have to wait to go down an aisle, we have, we may see an item in an aisle at a store that's 10 feet down, but the arrow's going the wrong way, right? So you dip around and you play by the rules. And that's not always easy in how fast-paced we are, but I really look up to the people that I'm coming in contact day in and day out that are just having a kind, positive outlook on what's, on their interactions with everybody, and just, again, recognize that at your doctor's office or at the veterinarian that you're going to probably have to wait longer than usual because of the unorthodox way we're having to see patients. And it really makes my day when I have someone that understands that, or just thanks us for being there, and understands that they waited a little longer because we had an emergency, and again, we're going in and out of the clinic in these thunderstorms, so I am impressed by people with these positive attitudes, and I think it's worth calling attention to, because honestly, it really is something we all could work on, and having more and just, paying it forward, okay? Because these are challenging times, right? So those people in particular are my Earth Animals of the Week this week, and I encounter several of them a day, and it's very refreshing, and it helps me with my outlook, really brighten me up too. So thank you, and I think if we could all just practice a little more of that, we'd be better off, right? So let's see who's checking in. Hey Vanessa, hey Gidge. I hope you're feeling good, Gidge, and healing up. Hi Marianne. Yes, I had a good break. I had a week break, which was nice, so I'm rested. Thanks, Todd. Thanks for welcoming me back, and I'm glad you're watching. So anyway, let's talk about the topic of the day, right? We're going to talk about, and I think it's a very important topic. Most people that watch all the time know I talk about my dogs all the time. I have 3 dogs. We have cats as well. We have 3 dogs. And we have a couple of young dogs, and they are big chewers. And dogs like to chew, right? And what's our job is dualfold, right? Our job is to provide them with things to chew that are healthy for them, first of all. And the other thing is to protect them, okay? And to watch them. And so what we kind of call this chew school, right? Chew IQ, knowing your chewer. And so I'm going to break down a couple of different, what I think are key points that we talk about when we talk about our chew school at Earth Animal, and specifically, show some examples of, with our no hides, of appropriate size things, okay? Because dogs that like to chew will chew, and so they will manifest it sometimes in chewing things they shouldn't if we're not providing them an outlet for that, or eating things that they shouldn't. I brought this with me today. This was, I don't know how well you can see this, but this is an Aruban florin. It's a coin from Aruba that one of my patients vomited up this week, okay? Now, clearly, they have not traveled recently to Aruba. The owner was unsure of where the animal got it. And I see things like this. You'd be amazed at the things that animals eat. And I see things like this all the time. I think this is my first. The other thing, too, is, being a veterinarian is amazing because you can never predict what's going to walk in the door on any given day. It's one of the things that makes the job, to me, so interesting and exciting. But I've had coins. I had a dog that ate 55 cents once. but I have never had a coin from Aruba, so this is definitely a first for me. But the point is that coins can be toxic to animals, and there's a lot of things that dogs can get into. So it's always good to provide them an outlet for those, for their need to chew. All right, animals chew for a number of reasons. They chew because they're hungry. They chew because it's a form of play. They chew because it keeps them occupied. Maybe they want it, we call it like kind of no hide nirvana. If you ever see a dog that loves to chew, is chewing a bone, they just look like they're in such a good mental state while they're doing it. With the eyes half masked and just chewing. So I think it's I think today what we'll do is we'll start with the first thing to talk about is knowing your dog. The key to giving them things to chew on is knowing what kind of chewer they are. Okay, and we've kind of broken it down into 3 groups, and there's different names for these groups, obviously, but we've broken it down 3. So then we have the first one, which is my youngest dog, Sadie, which is the inhaler Gulper. And you all know who they are. These are the dogs that literally, their whole goal is to soften whatever they have as much as they can and get it down as fast as they can, whether that means chewing off big pieces of it or chewing it and just trying to swallow it. So those are the most vigorous chewers, right? The ones that will just, try to swallow whatever you give them. Then you have the animals that we call the destroyers, right? Which are the dogs that have high chew strengths that will take something and just work their way through it very quickly and get it down. Okay, and then you have the nibblers, right? The ones that will work very, very systematically down a chew. Maybe from one end to the other, maybe middle out. They're different, but they will kind of systematically work it down. And certainly those are in order of, when you give them a chew, in order of how, how dangerous a chew can be to them. Obviously, you have these inhaler gulpers. Every animal that has a chew, you have to watch. And you have to watch, there's a tendency sometimes to use chews as pacifiers. And it's fine, but you should, anytime your animal has any sort of chew, you need to be with them and observing them at all times, okay? And we're going to get to that a little later. But especially when you have the animals that have a tendency to chew these very quickly or try to swallow whole things, okay? And this is where appropriate size chews come into play, all right? I've had some questions where people say, well, I give my larger dogs, say my lab, I give them large chews normally, but can I give them a smaller chew as a snack? Doesn't have as many calories. I can give it, they can just have a little snack. And the answer to that is, I don't ever recommend that, because yes, they're smaller, they're less calories, that sort of thing, but they're smaller, and there's a reason why you don't want to because they can get those things down very quickly and swallow large pieces, and that's something that we don't want, okay? So we'll talk a little bit about size. Size definitely is something you should match up with your animal, all right? So, for instance, what we recommend with our no hide line, right, is our dogs and cats that are up to 15 pounds would chew the stick. All right, you've seen these, you've seen the displays, right? So this is something that's appropriate up to around 15 pounds. Once they start to get 15 pounds and in that 15 to 45 pound range, then you will go up to the small chews, okay? And you see the difference between these. There's a big difference between these, and this is why we want to stick in those ranges, okay? So 15 to 45, we're getting into the small, okay? Once we get into, say, 45 to 75 pound range, all right, then we want to talk about our medium chews, right? Or a medium size chew appropriately, another chew. And this is when, so again, we're getting up in size, okay? So 45, 75 pounds in that range, you would then use an appropriate size, this size chew, okay? And then when we get to our big guys and we get to, which generally, the larger the dog, oftentimes, stronger the jaws. A lot of the larger dogs are in those groups that we, our inhalers or our destroyers, right? So those are the ones that we want to always be careful and give them the large chews, okay? I think that's very, very important. Because that group tends to be the ones that are the really vigorous chewers, and we want to make sure that we have an appropriate one. All right. The third point to this is that we really always unconditionally want to observe our pets when they're chewing. Right? There are other breeds, like when we talk about brachycephalic breeds, right, that tend to, our bulldogs and French bulldogs and pugs that have very strong jaws, even though they're not in that high end range. And so those dogs can do a number on chews very quickly, and you always want to watch. And what I do with mine when they have them is, I always watch them. If they have a piece that's hanging off, you can always cut that piece. You can remove that piece and then give them back the chew. And you always need to be observing them, because any chew that they have can be a choke, and anything that they chew on can be a choking hazard. Okay, if they eat food fast enough, it could cause them to have that. So it's really important that they're monitored at all times during this. All right, let's see. We have a couple people checking in. Hey, Will, what's going on? Thank you, Heather. It's good to be back. So Vanessa, yeah, that's a good question. So 55 cents, right? It was, I believe it was 2 quarters and a nickel. Could have been a lot of different coins. I realize I should have said that, but I think as I remember it was 2 quarters and a nickel that was sitting. It was an interesting X-ray because they were stuck together, so it almost looked like one of those watch batteries on those large batteries on X-ray. Hey, Paul Stan, how are you? Yeah, Candace, they are great, and my dogs love them as well, and they do all have their favorites, which is really funny. One of the other things so again, knowing your chewer, let's review. Knowing your chewer, knowing the size of the chews always matter, and again, most importantly, always observing them. And if you're going to, so we don't want to use them, they're great while you're with them. We don't want to use them as you're leaving and you want to appease them or pacify them and you give them something when you're not with them. That's not what these, what chews are meant to be for. So again, knowing them, size of the chew, and most importantly, always observing them, right? And then really, as far as we talk about, hey Vanessa, yeah, it was interesting. One of the things that, again, another point to be made is knowing what you're giving them. I think it's very important to look at what you're letting them chew on. You want certainly things that are going into their body, you want to make sure are good for them, right? You want, again, when we get back, we talk about no hides, 6 basic ingredients, no chemicals, right? Digestibility is a huge thing, okay? So where there's certain chews and other chews that may be 30% digestible. So if they get in the stomach, it can take a very long time to be broken down. When you get to something like a no-hide in that 80 to mid-80s% digestibility, that's a huge difference. And I think it's something that we all need to be conscious of, is again what we're putting in our pets' bodies, and I think that's very important. Let's see got a couple of questions. Hey Stephanie, hope your day is going well. Yeah, we've been doing these on Friday, so I keep thinking it's Friday, but it's Thursday. We still have another day to go in the week, right? So what about antlers or beef marrow bones? Okay, so Lauren, good question, right? And there are various, most pet stores have a wall with several different types of chews, different displays, different chews. The one thing about, I've had my patients will come in and have really chewed on, I've seen everything. I've seen everything that's out there. I've seen everything that they've chewed on. The one thing about things that may be that hard, okay, bones, antlers, and things, is you have to, again, know your chewer. Because some dogs, I know I always go back to Sadie, but if you ever saw Sadie chew her bone, she is, chewing it with a vengeance. I mean, she is just going at it, and she, if you're sitting with her and she's sitting next to you, I mean, you can feel it, how hard she's chewing it. And you do worry a little bit about the harder items. If you have a dog like that chews that vigorously, because you do worry about then some complications potentially with teeth, right? One of the most common things that we see tooth-wise with kind of mature animals is, if you ever notice, dogs work these chews to the back of their mouth. So a lot of these dogs have chipped their teeth and things over time. It's something you expect, especially if they've been chewing on things for a while. But some dogs actually, if they're vigorous chewers and they chew on things that are super hard, can actually wear their teeth as well. So it is something to be cognizant of. All right. Hey, Paul, you have a question. Let's see. My dog loves the no-hide chicken, but he really liked the turkey cranberry over the holidays. Is there a chance that will become a regular product? Well, I know we do the holiday, we do holiday promotions with different no-hides every year. I'm not sure. That's something probably would have to talk to some of the other folks about in marketing, so I can check on that and I can report back to you. I know that was a big hit, and it was hard to keep that one on the shelves. It was very popular. My dogs absolutely loved it as well. Hey, Molly, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in, Mom. All right, Jen, let's see. Can you offer a larger chew? I have two dogs that are different sizes, so giving them the same is important since they switch halfway through. So how big are, Jen, how big are your, if you can, the weights of your dogs? That would be good to know. There we go. We got the answer. So it's going to be back in stock in the fall. That's great. Thank you very much, Earth Animal, for helping me out there. So again, just to go back to it, one of the benefits with this whole line that we talk about on these no hides, and they've been a tremendous success, and the feedback that we get on it is overwhelmingly positive on these. It's just that they're simple ingredients. They are highly digestible, and the animals love them. So that what you're putting in, your animal's putting into its body is healthy. Okay, and again, it's always what we put in our animals' bodies as well as our bodies is really important for our overall health, right? 15 and 35. So honestly, so both of them can chew that. You can give them the small, which is in that 15 and 45. So they both can stay in that size. Okay. And one, my dogs will switch sometimes too. I think, again, what you want to be aware of, if your smaller dog has chewed down to a small size on that, you want to take it away at that point, because you wouldn't want your 35-pound dog coming over and going and trying to switch, to eat that small piece, right? So I think when you have multiple animals, it's important. Again, same thing that we've been saying. You just always want to be just hyper aware of, and just watching them with them. Okay, and this is with any chew, not just no hides. It's just we just like to, when we were talking about this and talking about the idea of IQ and chew school, I think it was important for us to get it out there for any chews. Okay. Yeah, so Stephanie, what we were talking about, so Stephanie is a veterinarian out in Long Island, and again, we discussed it a little earlier about harder items, Steph, and what they do to, if you have your vigorous chewers with the teeth. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, I think they are definitely worth it. I agree. They're a great product. So, Marianne, we don't worry too much about a larger size. Okay, it's always you want to be at least at their, fit them at their size. If they're, if you have multiple dogs and one's larger and that larger dog leaves it and the smaller dog goes up and starts chewing on larger, I don't worry about that. Okay, it's really the other way around. We don't want larger dogs chewing on smaller items because they can get them down too quickly, and that's not something we want. Hey Angel, how are you? Thanks for checking in. Oh, Hendrix likes the venison. And I don't know, Angel, if that's another thing, when we were talking about, because I know with Hendrix, we've talked about fireworks and thunderstorms, and you and I have talked so much about it. And I know the lengths at which you've gone to comfort Hendrix during it. It's another thing too, that if you can, when we talk about redirecting them, something like this is great for that, because if you can get them in the zone where they love these things and you can offer them, that can help with that as well. So thanks for checking in. Hope you guys are good. Hopefully the bulk of our fireworks are behind us. We've had in this area, we were talking about last week about the anxieties that just so peaked with all this. There's the 4th of July fireworks around here have been going off for 2 months. I think they've slowed a little, maybe, Angel, I don't know. But anyway, I think that hopefully that's going to start to decline. I know we have thunderstorms we have to deal with, but at least hopefully the nightly big mortars that have been going off, the big fireworks that have been going off, hopefully those will subside now a little bit. Anyway, you're welcome, Jen. Thanks. So yeah, so Sue, that's another good question. And I don't want to ever say that one or talk badly about certain shoes. I like the no hides because of what they represent, right? They're not hide based, they're brown rice based, okay? And again, with hide based things and other things, digestibility is a bit of a problem because a lot of times they're just not as digestible. So it takes the body a lot to break them down, and that's kind of what we're saying. So, Catherine, how does age come into play with chewing, specifically for older dogs? Well, I think, one of the things with older dogs, I think, and this is a great question, one of the things with older dogs is they may not, there's several things with them as far as their mouth goes. One, they may fatigue a little bit sooner when they're chewing. They may not have the muscle mass that they once did. So sometimes you may have to take it away from them so they don't get muscle fatigue in their mouth. The other thing too is that obviously older dogs oftentimes have some dental issues already, maybe have chipped some teeth or worn some teeth. So it's important, I think, even more important that you watch older animals more closely, because they may try to swallow them faster if they can soften them, because they can't fully break them down all the time. So it's a great question. I think you have to watch them. Most older dogs that I see, of all sizes, but a lot of the larger breed dogs have some chips or cracks or what they call slab fractures on some of their premolars and molars. A lot of them do, or at least some chips in them from chewing, because if you ever watch, that's where they move these to the very back of the mouth, always. Most of them, interestingly, most animals, when I look at their teeth and I do an exam, I can tell what side they chew their. Most dogs have a preference, right? So when I look at them, and this is something interesting. It's something no one ever told me in veterinary school. It's just something you just see, as you're out practicing and over time, is I can almost always say to an owner, oh, he or she likes to chew their no hide on their right side or their left side because there's less tartar oftentimes on that side. And sometimes it's dramatic with animals, and you can see, and the owners almost always will say, yeah, of course, yeah, I see. If I think about it, they're always putting it to one side. A lot of dogs have a preference. That's good, Angel. Thanks for the daily no hides too. But yeah, I think hopefully the fireworks are diminishing. You're welcome, Sue. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Janet. Yep. We'll see you hopefully next week. Thank you very much. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for tuning in. You're welcome. You're welcome, Catherine. Well, so Cindy, good. Look, obviously we recommend, as veterinarians, we recommend brushing your dog's teeth. Some are more amenable to that than others. I often talk about people, particularly if you're doing brushing like the finger brushes, the little slide-on finger brushes, I think dogs oftentimes tolerate that a little better than toothbrushes. But any repeated sliding action on teeth can help with tartar, yes. And so it's something that if you ever look at some of the veterinary, it's when you talk about, a lot of people think, okay, dry food for a dog naturally would help because it's hard, will help with tartar. But the interesting part of that is dry food, one, they don't always chew all of it, and two, it breaks up. It breaks up. So dry food doesn't really often help with tartar because it's on the sides of the teeth, not on the bottom of the teeth, right? But when they chew on something, they use the sides of their teeth. So oftentimes that will help with tartar buildup. And just that action of sliding up and down on the outside of the teeth. Now, like I said, I do see oftentimes that they do have a preference on one side. So I will see, that's why, again, the importance of, if you can and they'll allow you to, is brushing their teeth. I think just, and certainly, and any brushing you do is better than none. All right. So good question though, Cindy. Thank you. Hi, Gretchen. How are you? Hey, buddy. Let's see. Thanks for all the great info. Question about shoes. Dog's paws, not about shoes, sorry. Dog's paws in this weather. Boots or no, so they don't burn. Okay. Tough to say across the board, Gretchen, right? Very hot. You have to be, cognizant about what surface they're on, okay? Obviously, blacktop right now, when it's very sunny and really hot out, can get hot. I have had dogs burn their feet if they were, say, I've had dogs go in the summer to like a tennis court and play with a ball that can kind of, what they say, excoriate and get kind of burns and slough away some of their pad this time of year. So no, that's okay. That's okay that we're off topic, Gretchen. But I think that this, so you have to be cognizant of what you're on. Most dogs, if you feel their feet, their pads are obviously meant for walking around in all sorts of weather, hot, cold, everything else. And most of them have pretty tough feet, all right? But certainly, if you wouldn't want them to be on a blacktop for a very long time or running them on a blacktop when it's really hot out, because just the heat of that and them sliding or doing things can bother their feet. So it's not always necessary to have boots on, depending on where they are. Obviously, if they're in the yard or they're in grass, again, what the surface, the color of the surface, when you have sidewalks tend to be a little bit cooler than the blacktop. So you just have to kind of be aware of how long they're going to be on it and what activity they're doing. So it's not, they don't have to have boots, but it's certainly, if it's something they're going to be on for a long time or they're used to wearing boots, that's not a bad idea. All right. Hi, Morgan. Thanks for tuning in. Are there any ways to prevent dogs from chewing their beds? Are you referring to Sadie's bed, Morgan? Which you probably are. So yes, is redirecting them, right? And like we were talking about before, Morg, this is my daughter, by the way. Like we were talking about before, dogs need to chew. Like if you see, like with Sadie, she needs to chew. She likes to chew. So by offering them options, healthy options, directing them, redirecting. You can direct them away from, hopefully, from doing things like chewing their bed or like, I don't know, chewing their brother or sister's bed, right? Like in our case, right? Good question, Morgan. Thank you very much. Let's see. Hey, Marianne. Georgia and my cat get their brushes even though they aren't crazy about it. Yeah, and you know, this is getting back to the brushing teeth, and I know this is a little bit, you know, we're talking about mouth, so this is fine, but we, when you talk about brushing, it's the reason why when you can and when you have puppies and kittens, and when you have them young, you want to get used to going in their mouth, touching their ears, touching their paws. You want to get them used to, this is just, and that's what I recommend with my dogs up to, my puppies at the clinic, up to 6 months, when they actually are losing all their baby or deciduous teeth, and they're getting their adults, which they start at 3 to 4 months losing their teeth, and then they get a whole new set adult teeth by 6 months. So in 2.5 or 3 months, they replace every tooth that they have, which is really quite amazing if you think about it. That's why puppies get into trouble with chewing things, because they're teething all the time. And so if you get them used to it then, just putting your fingers in their mouth and massaging their gums and getting, one, it feels good to them, especially when they're teething, and two, it just gets them used to that action. So then down the road, they'll be much more likely to let you do it. It's just a matter of what they're used to, right? All right, Michael, let's see. So Michael says he's been staying with his brother for the last few months, and he has a 12-year-old black lab with a lot of tartar and plaque buildup, and obviously what comes with that is breath issues, right? And after chewing on the no hides for 3 months, it's incredible how much cleaner they are. And yeah, I mean, that's it. Like we were talking a little earlier about, can they help with tartar? Yes, chews can. It's just that action of them going up and down can really help. So I think that's great. Thanks again, Morg. Yes, Earth Animal, thank you. We're going to make these chews about my dog today. That's wonderful. Thank you, Morgan, for opening that up, and thank you, Earth Animal, for sounding off on it as well. It does sound like, so maybe the good deal is I'll take these home from the office, okay? And then we'll be all set. All right. All right, everybody. So that really concludes it. I think we're gonna do our spotlight here. Again, not a long topic. All right. Although we talked about it for a while, but I think a very important topic. And because I think that when you pick the right chew and it's a healthy chew and you do it the right way, it really enriches our dogs' lives. So, and our cats as well. My cats like the sticks as well. All right. All right, so let's do our spotlight, and then we're going to give our code word. Next week, we are going to do our general question. Once a month we do just ask anything veterinary related. So that will be next week. We've got some great topics. Oh, Mayor, thanks. That's great. Enjoy. We've got some great topics to talk about, including food, coming up in the next 4 weeks. So I think it's going to be we're going to have a great lineup going forward for the next 4 to 5 weeks. And again, next week, get your questions ready, because next week is going to be all about you guys and just asking me kind of, like I said, anything goes veterinary related. All right. Okay. All right, so let's talk about our spotlight. I know we get a little bit of a glare, but so our spotlight this week is the paw stand, okay, in Doraville, Georgia. All right, hope you guys see, seems like a fun bunch, right? The paw stand is a rustic and unique pet-centric environment designed to focus on the overall well-being of pets. Not only can you get healthy food and treats at the paw stand, but you'll find 3 self-service dog spas. And this is what I find really cool. and treats. You will find 3 self-service dog spas and a state-of-the-art rehab room, which is very cool for me. The rehabilitation room features an underwater treadmill that provides gentle resistance and is effective in helping dogs grow stronger. And I see up here a lot of my patients that have undergone cruciates, hip surgeries, various bone surgeries, have done similar rehab and have done really, really well. It has really helped them get back to themselves more quickly and better. All right. So I will tell you that I think that to have that as part of this retail, I think is really priceless to have that right in your backyard there. Owners Donna Rani and Jennifer Andre, also known as Dr. J, opened the Paw Stand in 2015 to provide a place of healthy food options and healing. Donna led a successful career in the corporate airline and auto industry and is an award-winning website designer. These days, you will catch her greeting customers by name and sharing her wealth of knowledge on animal health and wellness with local Atlanta neighbors. Dr. J worked as a licensed physical therapist for 32 years before becoming a certified canine rehab therapist. I love that. I love that. She became interested in rehabilitating dogs years ago when her black lab underwent surgery for hip dysplasia. It seemed only natural to apply her human physical therapy skills to rehabilitate her dog pre- and post-operatively. The rest is history. She loves to work with dogs who are healing from different circumstances, from orthopedic and physical to neurologic disorders. In addition to providing high-quality food and canine therapy, the Paw Stand team has raised money for Atlanta Bullseye Rescue, committed to providing help and care for pit bulls and pit mixes. So cool. Atlanta Bullseye Rescue aims to reduce negative stereotypes and adopt out to true breed ambassadors to committed and responsible owners. So everyone in this area, please, again, we need to support our independent retailers. And this you just heard the story. It's a great story and a great store, and they offer a tremendous amount of options. So please get out there and get to the Paw Stand. All right? All right. Now it's time for our code word. So each week, I'm going to reveal a code word. The first person that calls with this code word is going to get a $50 gift certificate to the Paw Stand. Okay? And I know I say it every week. I sound like a broken record, but please try to be local. It's the whole point of this is for local people to visit their local stores. Okay? All right, here we go. Password is Bubbles. First person to call, say Bubbles. $50 gift certificate. All right? All right. Let's see, some other people have checked in. Hey, Marianne, so coconut oil, good to brush your teeth. Well, I've known some people have done that. I think in reality, just the action of brushing, even with a brush with nothing on it, just that action helps. Some animals are adverse to different tastes, okay? So and they obviously also make veterinary toothpaste as well. But I think, at the very bottom, some animals have aversions to all different tastes. So even just without anything, just the brush itself and that action, that kind of rotary action along their gum line really does help. Okay? And another good question, yes, Marianne, cats and dogs up to 15 pounds. I don't know where I put my little no-hide stick. But anyway, up to 50, here it is. Up to 15 pounds, chew the sticks. My cats like them. They love them. All right? All right, everybody. I think we covered most things. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Again, we'll see you next week. I'm going to say have a good weekend. I know it's Thursday, but I want everyone to have a great weekend and keep staying safe, everybody. And like we talked about before, positivity and kindness. Those two things will carry us a long way. All right, so again, we were talking about Georgia connections, and I'm trying to match our music locally with bands that come from the States each week. This was very easy for me because it's probably my favorite band Thank you for checking in today, Morgan. It's probably my favorite band ever, and so we're gonna go out with the Allman Brothers, Macon, Georgia. Oh, thanks, Paul Stan. You already have a winner, huh? Great, great.